Good morning, this is Ken Long from Kansas. I'd like to share with you my story of circumnavigating the elephant, which is my life with true storytelling during the year of COVID. By way of background, this is me. Been married for 35 years. Wonderful wife, Linda, 3 kids, 4 dogs, coach soccer. I teach. I'm a financial analyst. Army career professional, combat veteran, specializing in logistics and strategy. I've been an associate professor at the Command and General Staff College for 20 years. I'm a small business owner where I do financial analysis for asset allocators and risk managers. An adjunct professor in a variety of strategy and management programs. I'm interested in professional judgment, change management, decision-making under uncertainty. And I'm intrigued by how true storytelling has made a foundational and transformational change in every single one of these dimensions. Could not have predicted that at the start of the year, but there it is. Lower left, you see the way my brain works, a semi-open system that's systems-oriented, appreciates ecosystems and all the players, actors, forces, and structures that are there. And I use a continuous estimate process to make adaptive responses to a dynamic environment using best practices, professional models, insights from the people. At the Command and General Staff College, you can see in the middle bottom where my teaching interests are, and that's my point of contact information. Upper right-hand side, the people that I love and that I live for, and my best day on the planet when I came home from combat and had my little girl in my arms. And I'm motivated by a sense of duty, Ren, and effortless action, Wu Wei. That's the surrounding ideogram, and that's my vision of how I should be in the world when I act in the world, informed by my sense of duty and putting effort into what I do. So I began the true storytelling journey with my doctoral mentor, David Boji, and the True Storytelling Institute team, almost at the time COVID became a thing, and we had work from home and distance learning and all this time to read, write, think, speak, collaborate at a distance, and true storytelling got my attention. And right from the beginning, it started making transformations. And so the artifacts that I'm going to share with you are from those moments, and I'm reliving the memories of them now. This is one from May 15th, 2020. The very first set of insights I had was the walking man on the left and his 5 ways of knowing: head, heart, gut, hands, and feet, and what happens to the walking man as he's on his journey when he enters roundabouts, which are places in which we can rest, recover, reflect, repurpose, recon, rejuvenate. And those 5 ways of knowing turn out to me to be the truth about what I know. Knowledge of the head, the conceptual theoretical elements, knowledge of the heart, who I am, what my values are, what I strive for, what my purposes are, the knowledge of the gut, the things that I fear, what I worry about, my risk aversion, that shapes the choices that I think I have and the decisions that I make and the projects I undertake. Knowledge of the hands, of how to do things as a craftsman. And then the knowledge of the feet, how to do this every day, carrying the load, taking the next step, resilience, endurance, emotional commitment, emotional intelligence, teamwork. Enduring. Well, the walking man in the roundabout encounters operational and organizational excellence in the world. And the Shingo model and those guiding principles really align with how I try to act in the world. The Shingo model briefly says that our culture and our behaviors in that culture are the centerpiece of who we are and what we stand for. And the two concentric circles work in both directions simultaneously. So the guiding principles you live by align with the systems that you choose to operate with, and those systems cause you to select tools to work in that way in order to achieve the results that you get, which should affirm the guiding principles you aim to live by, if you are aligned all the way around clockwise. And then counterclockwise, those guiding principles end up driving the kinds of results that you seek, which allows you to refine the tools that you use to get those results as you learn from what you do. And those tools enable you to build robust, reliable systems which drive us towards achieving those guiding principles we aspire to. And so when the walking man meets the Shingo model, those 5 ways of knowing in this culture and this behavior of trying to achieve organizational excellence in a sustainable way, helped me think about culture and the enablers, the ideas of continuous improvement, and how to align the entire enterprise, whether we're talking about your inner enterprise or your role in the larger enterprise in trying to achieve excellence. And I discovered that those 7 principles of true storytelling, acknowledging and identifying the truth, making space for the stories that are there, replotting to tell new stories that might take us to the better future we aim for, the use of timing to do first things first and then take the next steps, the help we provide to stories along the way, our stories and stories of others, to help them thrive in the world, and then the way we use staging and artifacts and the ecosystem to build out the resources and the setting under which we perform. And then reflecting on that process as the way to start the next iteration, recognizing what we said and what we did, what we planned and what we did, and the results that we got, and what we learned, and how that's going to shape the next set, that iterative process driven by reflection. So May 15th was a really important aligning moment for me to see how my intentions to act in accordance with that Shingo model in all things could be supported by the walking man and the idea of the true story roundabout. More on that. So circumnavigating the elephant resonates with me because the elephant represents the larger-than-language reality of a complex, dynamic world that demands our attention and causes us to engage and to strive. Among soldiers, seeing the elephant is the metaphor for having experienced war in all its magnitude directly, beyond words. And the parable of the 6 blind men who individually feel one part of the elephant and think that's what the elephant is, and they realize that there's 6 different things about it, and none of them really knows the elephant. And yet, the deeper insight on that one is that if we could circumnavigate the elephant, and then if we had a way to tell each other in a meaningful way about our experience of the elephant, and if we could live with the conviction that the other person is telling us their best truth in the best possible way about what they know and have experienced, with the purpose of helping us thrive and helping us all collaborate and succeed together. If we could start with that conviction, then it may be that we could get a 3% return on our invested efforts together. And we might be able to do that if we could create a safe space in which to engage in our storytelling, and we could learn to trust each other on the basis of evidence, and that then the truth might emerge, and then that collaboration could lead to opportunities to harness the power of the elephant and ourselves to achieve our common purpose. So what if we could create true story circles that were safe, trustworthy, truthful, that could lead to opportunities? I take the position that each of us is the subject matter expert in our own unique point of view, that we are the experts at looking through our lens, through that perspective, and crafting that sense-making story that represents our truth. If I were to try to duplicate or approximate the expertise of all these other experts around the elephant with me, wouldn't that take 10,000 hours, according to the work of Erickson? The 10,000 hours of expertise that it takes to generate genuine mastery. So if there were 5 other people, it might take me 25 years to approximate what it is that they already know from their perspective. And even if I could do that, while I was working on one area of expertise, the other ones would be neglected. In my own development, from my perspective, would be neglected. And so at the end of 25 years, I haven't really advanced because I'm lost in the past and the things that used to be. But that elephant is dynamic and changing. And so mathematically, if we want to have a chance to appreciate the power and the beauty and the potential of that elephant, who might stomp us if we're not respectful and aware, but who could help us with his power if we can align with him or her towards a common good, that we might be able to achieve a 3% compounded return on our collaboration based on true storytelling principles of truth, space, plot, timing, help, staging, and reflection, allow us to begin to create those safe spaces in our true story roundabouts where we learn to trust each other and we can acknowledge and account for the truths that we each bring to the table, which may lead to more opportunities. So my experience this year has been that to the extent that we can circumnavigate the elephant and operate on those principles and apply those 7 steps, and we can learn to reveal and explore the knowledge of our head, heart, gut, hands, and feet, I found that this leads to transformational insights in my military students and my fellow military professors, in the global market currency and commodity traders that I work with, executives in businesses that are trying to improve their processes and deliver better products and services while taking care of their people in an honorable way, the creative people that I work with who are trying to make a difference in the world and express themselves, and maybe most importantly of all, in my young soccer players and their parents as we try to learn to play the beautiful game and appreciate each other and learn how to be in the world in a healthy, harmonious way. It turns out that these things resonate with people, and that inside that roundabout, that true story circle, all of those R words are things that go on, and we can stay there as long as we need to or want to, as we rest, relax, recover, reverberate, and resonate with each other, and reset towards a new purpose. All of those R words are happening inside that roundabout as we engage in this ecosystem with our elephants, whatever that may be. What's the elephant that you're working on, working with, trying to appreciate? How can you use safety, trust, truth to build out the opportunities? What if you could do that? Who else might need to know? Who else should be there, could be there, might want to be there? And how can we learn to operate together? One of the things that I've discovered in the professional military setting is that we are driven so strongly by consensus that even when we establish these collaborative circumnavigating networks, there's a real social tendency to want to go to the side of the elephant that is currently maybe the most useful, and the diversity that we try so hard to create, we end up relinquishing because we're running towards consensus and we're losing sight of the fact that that elephant is always larger than we can see from one side, and that we need that distributed network that can still communicate effectively with trust and truth in order to continue to appreciate the elephant as he evolves in our ecosystem, as it changes, as our network grows in capacity and adds people and new skills and new purposes and vision. We've got to make an effort to maintain that distributed network of diversity and engagement and inclusion. That's the real power and the potential. So how do you do that? Well, this is, without going into each and every word, this is a true story roundabout. We call it the OWL Story Group. And we created a set of agreements that allowed us to operate with the true story principles and according to these agreements. We started off calling them rules, but that felt oppressive. It didn't feel right. And they weren't just guidelines, because that says, oh, maybe you can vary from that. But we agreed that as free people, that the word agreements captured exactly what we were trying to say about how we felt about each other, and that we had a self-imposed duty, an obligation, a commitment to abiding by these agreements to be part of this circle that had emerged. And so in the upper left-hand corner is the culture and the tone and the agreements that we've adopted. And the lower left-hand corner describes how it felt to be a member of that group. Let me just read that to you and let you listen. This is how it felt during our time this morning, said this member. I could really feel the power of the stories this morning, and I felt the stories to be the thing just as they are that mattered. And I have an image forming in my head of each person offering a unique personal stone that's placed on the central spot, considered as part of what we have to say about the topic at hand today from our own human place, and that these stones are placed without comment, but are acknowledged and witnessed for being just as they are, and that we are cherishing the act of trust and community that it is represented by these stacked stones, manifested in the world in the spirit of the sharing that we have, and from the person for whom that story is such a meaningful thing, and that to fully witness that act of their giving is to feel the waves of that gift resonate all the way through each of us, from top to the bottom and back to the top and all the way through. And that only the things that are needed to be said are those things which are said in the story by the storyteller. And that there is every other time and place for other things to be done outside of that sacred story space. But here and now, in that circle, it's just the sacred story. And if your heart is so moved, then add your story. And to begin your story where that last story perhaps ended, so be it. You're among friends, and friends understand. And so what we do is think each week about a story seed that we bring an emotionally connected, deep, truthful story to that story space. We enter the place of safety first. We remember and we experience the trust we have for each other. And we meet in the foyer, and then we move into the sacred story space where the truth is told, just as it is, without judgment, processing, advice, but just resonating with deep listening. And when we're done, we strike the gong and move into the foyer and think about other things, other opportunities that are suggested. It may lead to a workshop to do something. It may lead to the development of a tool that will help us achieve some certain things. All those opportunities are out there just waiting to be explored. And so those background videos will give you deeper insights into what that experience is like. And the administrative notes are some of the techniques that we use as guides to manage our time and space and stay true to our agreements. and you're invited to join us if that's something that you'd like to do. The True Storytelling workshops with David Bogie and the TSI tell us how to do those things, just so it's easier to read. The true story principles that abide in that sacred story space, and then just a couple phenomenological testimonies of what that's like to be in that kind of circle. And I've run 3 of those over the past 8 months, and they all share these common features of transformative, emotionally satisfying, and meaningful experiences, regardless of who the members of the story circle are, that when they commit to those agreements, these are the experiences that happen. And the walking man's knowledge of my head, that I understand the conceptual process, my heart about who I am and what we stand for and what we aim to achieve, in the gut, what I am concerned about, and how the safety and the trust help accommodate and account for and acknowledge and respect that knowledge of the gut, but which allow us nevertheless to push on to the truth and then to opportunities, and how to do that in a way that maintains and improves the safety, trust, truth, and opportunities. It's the knowledge of the hands, and how to do that every day, every week, every month, every year, continuously, is the knowledge of the feet, and it becomes the journey that we'd invite you to experience. So one of the things I discovered was that when we're coming into that circle and we have our maybe 2-dimensional view of what it is that we want to talk about, and we might see in the world that there are obstacles in our way, that when you engage in the true story circle and you start hearing and resonating with those other truths that come from other people's gifts of stories, that social capital that they're bringing allows us really to climb this mountain of truth, and we're spiraling up and getting higher and higher levels of awareness and understanding. And then what looked like a really tall obstacle can be seen from the 3-dimensional perspective as a simple thing we can just go around. You don't have to just go over it. And obstacles that were wide and broad can also be maybe jumped over when you realize how short they are, or you might be able to go around them as well. And then from that increased perspective that comes from the shared story circle experience, opportunities abound everywhere. And that's where the transformational power, the 3% return on investment, really comes from, because there's an infinite abundance of opportunities that emerge from the true story circles that people of goodwill as a collaborative team can engage with in support of their mutual view of what is good. I just want to share a couple quick hits of snapshots of tools. What's it like to do that? Well, here was an obstacle that I experienced in a business I was building, and some problems that felt catastrophic in the moment. And when I was able to apply the true storytelling principles and unpack that complex, emotionally tense experience, that I was able to take the elements of the story as lived and realize I could recombine those into different future stories, future plots, and adding things to it and making space for other stories and finding ways to help. The true storytelling principles helped me develop new possibilities. The degrees of freedom that I added because of the insights from true storytelling helped me make sense of the complexity and to gain clarity and alignment and become more effective in a relaxed, relentless way. And so when I'm applying true storytelling in the world, it always starts with where we are and what the truth is and what stories are there. And it unsurprisingly takes the following form, where the before heart, and this comes from the work of Joyce Anastasia and her heart module, of the true storytelling body of knowledge. That we learn to account for and accept the things that were there before, and then we can appreciate the heart beyond about the new present and future we hope to build, and we're going to begin to build by taking these first steps. And the below heart helps us discover the important foundations of needed support that are there, and help us place bets on ourselves and our people and our processes, and learn to leverage that trust that we generate from the truth. And that the between heart, the things that bind us together and allow synergies and integrations to provide us the help as needed. And then the 7 principles of true storytelling allow me to explain how these things work and to craft new stories. And in this case, I'm telling you how I've changed as a person by adopting these methods. And I could tell you how I've learned to listen to us in the circle, as individuals in the group, and as a group collective, creating that new reality and potential of a new future. And then how we can combine to make new stories, and to do first things first, and take next steps in a way that is sensible and sound and healthy and robust and resilient and sustainable. And how we can work together like water flowing down the stream to relentlessly move in our desired direction. And how we can leverage the power of storytelling and stages and artifacts and the setting to help us tell our stories, to celebrate our stories, and to keep going on to the next encore, which is the start of the next story. And then reflecting on our journeys, making sense of those things, learning from that, locking in those stories as reflections, and using that to pay forward to help other people along their journeys. So that's what I want to say about circumnavigating the elephant. It's been an amazing journey. It has been transformational in all of the dimensions that I operate in, with my military officers, with my professional clients who are risk managers and traders, business executives, creatives, my soccer players and their families, my family, and just people that I meet everywhere. I find this has become a natural way to be, to immediately just go and create safe spaces where people can learn to trust and express truths, and then we can learn to act on those in profound, meaningful, respectful ways. So the knowledge of the head, heart, gut, hands, and feet, the power of those roundabouts to rejuvenate us, that support us until we're ready to make that next venture from the roundabout on the next leg of the journey towards the next roundabout. And when you learn that you can create those things at will with other people, or even with yourself in your moments of personal reflection, that those principles will be a source of strength and comfort and power for you, to help you be what you aim to be. And it also allows you to just be who you are in that moment for as long as you need. And when you tell those true stories, you're different at the end of the story than you were at the start. The telling of the story is part of who you are, and it changes you as you tell the story. I'm different because of telling the story in this way, trusting that the words will come out as needed to speak the truth that I'm feeling in the moment. The folks at the ISODC asked for more, how to maybe add these techniques to your OD kit bag. And so in conjunction with David Boji and the True Storytelling Institute, I'm putting together this course to start in September with a series of 6 lessons in 6 weeks, and we'll be designing the lessons as developed and taught by certified true storytellers. And we'll use the first 4 lessons to work through the 7 principles. Each week we'll learn a new applied tool that is usable in an OD practice. We'll get hands-on practices. We'll have live Q&A sessions that'll be recorded for further study. And if you participate in this course, you'll have a case study where you want to apply true storytelling in your life on a project. And we will use that as the raw material to understand how true storytelling works by helping you develop a true storytelling approach to that case study. Lesson 5 will be a chance to use the gradual release of responsibility to you, so that in that trusted group that's developed in the 4 weeks of the first set of lessons, you'll get a chance to brief your initial ideas on how to apply true storytelling in the world. You'll get feedback on it, have a week to reflect on it and refine your plan. And then lesson 6, you come in with your elevator speech for how you propose to implement true storytelling in the world, a celebration of the hard work that you've done. And at the end of this thing, you'll be living true storytelling. We will have used the principles to learn the principles all along the way and created our own stories. And beyond that course is an opportunity to continue the momentum and build out our own true story circles from those who participate. The True Storytelling Institute would ordinarily charge $4.95 for that set of lessons. They've offered a special of $3.95 for this course. And I'm prepared to give you a scholarship if you need one, just so that you can experience the power and hear me now and believe me later. So if you're interested, you have my contact information here, longke@yahoo.com, and I'd be happy to talk with you to answer any questions, and I would look forward to working with you on this or any other project. If you're still listening and you want to work on anything of interest, what I live for is to work on interesting things with interesting people, and I would be honored and delighted to collaborate with you on anything you think I could add value to. So please don't hesitate to reach out. Thank you so much for your kind attention and the privilege of telling the story with you in the best way that I could. Aho, which means it is as it should be. Take good care.